Hi there and welcome to the very final part of my 2019 100-day drawing challenge. Finally, we actually made it to the very end of the challenge. Finally, it's over. This has been an absolute roller coaster. I'm so glad that it's finally over and I don't have to draw absolutely every day without fail and show off all of the artwork that I'm not proud of. I can go back to only posting the stuff that I'm proud of. This has been a crazy challenge. I'm so glad I did it. It's been a great experience, but I'm also so glad that it's over. But anyway, regardless, in this video I'm going to be showing off prompts 92 to 100. Starting off with prompt 92, which was umbrella. So I hate to start off with an art piece that I'm not super proud of, but for umbrella I decided to go with a kind of rainy theme. I didn't want to use snow. I did think at first maybe I could do a snowy scene with someone with an umbrella, but prompt 94, which you'll see in a minute, is snow. So I didn't want to do two drawings that were too similar. So I went with a kind of rainy theme, and I do think it's cute and I really like the colour scheme, but I just think that this one isn't my absolute best work. I went with a kind of box in the background, a slightly different shape than normal just because I was feeling like experimenting a little bit, and then did the umbrella up above that shape so that she's kind of breaking the bounds of that background, which I think is kind of a cool idea. And there are some drops of rain on top of the image, and then I went over closer to the end and added some drops of rain to the background too, with both a blue pen and my white pen. I decided to go with a kind of pink and blue colour scheme because I do really like using pink and blue, and then I used a kind of purplish tone for the hair just to darken it up a bit. So I used a really bright pink that I've loved using recently, so I've been using it a lot, and a slightly purplish pink. I believe the marker is called rose pink. I think the colour scheme turned out cute. I think this could have been executed a bit better. I don't love the anatomy and the kind of posture of the character. I just think it turned out a little bit closed up. I'm not really super keen on the composition of this. I think there's a lot that I could have done differently, but it is an improvement from last year and I think it fits the prompt. Prompt number 93 was ice skating, and I really like this one actually. I'm really happy with it. And I'm really happy with how it turned out. So I could have gone with like a figure skater or something, like a professional, but I decided to just go with what first popped into my mind. Because we're approaching Christmas and all of the prompts from now on are kind of Christmas themed, I wanted to go with a slightly more festive idea and do somebody who is skating just recreationally. I made her posture like she's trying to balance a little bit, which I think is really cute. And I actually really like how this one turned out. I think that the silhouette turned out really nice, the way that it's quite open. I did go with a circle in the background again, as I want to do with all of these prompts. And I went with a pastel colour scheme just because I knew that I was going to be approaching some darker colour schemes the closer to Christmas we get. I really wanted to do some Christmas colour schemes, so we were going to be using a lot of red and green. So I eased into that by first sticking in my comfort zone and using some pastels for the ice skating prompt. I really love her jumper. I think it looks so cute, that kind of pale blue colour, and I added a little snowflake on the front with a white pen closer to the end, and I think it turned out really sweet. I bundled her up in a lot of layers of clothes, so she's wearing like a scarf and gloves and a jumper and a skirt and tights and socks. You have to keep warm if you're ice skating, so. And I really like the hair colour. I've used kind of a bright orange to kind of match the skirt. Went with a pale blue in the background, added some pink in there. I think it turned out really cute. Prompt number 94 was snow. So again, I was just kind of thinking about how I wanted to ease into the next couple of prompts, because I like to try and stick with an overall colour theme throughout all of my artwork, and because we're approaching Christmas and I'm going to be doing a lot of artwork that is kind of Christmas themed, I wanted to ease into that and use some slightly darker colour palettes. So for snow, I didn't want to use all white again. I think I was trying to learn from my mistake in a way from that clouds prompt, because the illustration overall ended up really simple and really kind of plain because there wasn't a lot of colour going on, it was just kind of white clouds. So for snow, I really wanted to try and add a lot of different colours in there. I gave this character white hair because I thought that would be really cute for the snow prompt, but I put her in like a brown jacket with like a red and green scarf, which I thought would tie into the Christmas prompts nicely. And then I decorated the background with snow covering the top of the border in the background, and she's kind of covered in snow across her shoulders and stuff that I added in later with a white pen. And then I used that pebble blue colour for the background to kind of indicate a kind of dark, snowy day. That colour really reminds me of like the dark sky when it's snowing, there's like a lot of dark clouds. And I like the colour scheme, I think it really does ease in nicely to the next couple of prompts. Prompt number 95 was warm fireplace. I had a lot of fun with this one. I really knew going into it that I wanted to use all warm colours, of course, for the warm fireplace prompt. And I just had this strong image in my head of somebody kind of tucked up, cozy and warm by the fire. So that's the kind of vibe that I wanted to go with this one. I don't think it turned out exactly to plan because I chose to use orange at some point for her outfit, and I feel like that kind of threw it off a little bit. I do kind of wish I'd put her in a red jumper instead, and then gone with green maybe to accompany that, but I went with a character kind of sat by the fire. She has a little green cushion and a mug with, I don't know, hot chocolate or coffee or something. And I really like the way I coloured the hair. I think that the hair colours are really pretty, so I went with a couple of different dark browns for the hair. I went with a slightly paler brown in the background. It's supposed to kind of indicate the wall that the fireplace is in, but I wanted to keep it a little bit paler because it was kind of going behind the character too, so I didn't want to make it too dark and kind of swallow up the character. And I think it turned out really well, and then I used some bright yellows and oranges and reds for the fire, and like I said, I kind of wish I'd made her outfit more like red and green rather than adding that orange in there, but I don't hate it, and I do think it still has that cozy vibe to it that I wanted to go for. And I went over with a yellow coloured pencil in the end just to add that kind of soft yellow glow that the fire would be emitting across the whole of the character, and the hair and the skin and across the clothes and everything, just to kind of add that soft glow. And I do think it turned out really cute. Prompt number 96 was gingerbread. So now we're full blown into Christmas prompts at this point. And I was so excited. I knew instantly that I wanted to draw a character with kind of a gingerbread inspired outfit. And I had such a strong picture in my mind about the colours that I wanted to use and everything, so I was so excited for this one. I also, at this point, while I was drawing the gingerbread prompt, decided that the next prompt, spoiler alert, it's gonna be candy cane. I wanted them to match, so I did a similar kind of theme for the both of them. I did the same size box in the background for the both of them, and had one facing one way and one facing the other way so that you could kind of put them side by side, which I might try and do digitally at some point. I really liked the idea of having two like festive food themed characters that kind of matched each other or went together as a set. So for gingerbread, I knew I wanted to use loads of different shades of brown. I have some really pretty shades. I have one called cinnamon, which I think is really fitting, that I used quite a lot for this. And I also used raw sienna and saddle brown as well for the slightly darker browns. And then used my darkest brown markers for her hair. I knew that I wanted that to be the darkest point. So I went with an overall brown and white colour scheme, and then added some red and green in there just to kind of tie it in with the Christmas prompts again. I really like how this turned out. I think if I were drawing it again, I would bring her arm down a little bit. She's kind of holding a little gingerbread cookie and eating it, but it's a little too close to her face, so I'm not sure whether you can 100% tell what it is or where it's supposed to be, so it does look really closed up, and I think if I were drawing this again, I'd just draw her arm kind of down a little bit more so that you could really clearly see the silhouette. But other than that, I really like this. I think it turned out really sweet. The colour scheme turned out perfectly, exactly how I wanted. And then I went over with a white pen in the end, added loads of sparkles and little dots to indicate like a sugar coating or like a flour dusting, or I guess it would be icing sugar or something. But I think it gives off a really cute effect and really makes it look cookie-like. And that's exactly what I was going for, so I'm actually really happy with this one. And prompt number 97 was candy cane. This one didn't turn out quite to plan. The gingerbread one turned out really well. I was so proud of that one when I was finished. This one, not quite so much. I love the original sketch. When I sketched it out, I thought it looked so cute. I really wanted parts of her design to contrast the gingerbread character, so I gave her a shorter skirt as opposed to the knee length of the gingerbread character. I gave her much longer hair because the gingerbread character had shorter hair. I had her facing the other way. I had her pose slightly different. But then when I got to the stage of actually colouring it, I think I just added too many stripes. I mean, I knew I wanted white and red stripes to be the main focus because that's exactly what I think of when I think candy cane. So I knew exactly what colour scheme I wanted to go for this. Red and white stripes, and then a little bit of bright green in there too. But I think the stripes just kind of swallow it up, which I'm really disappointed about because I just wanted this character to turn out so cute, and I love her design, so I'd love to redesign this character in the future and just change a couple of little elements of her design so that it doesn't look so closed up. Even though the pose is fairly open, it looks really closed up because of the way it's coloured, and I'm so disappointed that it turned out that way because I do think this character is so cute. I gave her even candy cane striped eyelashes, which I thought was a cute idea, and then bright green eyes because I knew I wanted to use that bright green in there. She has a bright green bow in her hair and around her neck, and she has like a giant candy cane to use as an actual cane, which I thought was cute. And I love the bracelets too because they're candy cane striped. I just think the whole outfit was too many stripes overall everywhere, so I think if I were doing this again I would attempt maybe just making her dress red rather than striped, and then keep the striped tights and the stripes in the hair, which are sort of vertical, so that kind of adds a little bit of contrast. Yeah, there's a lot I would do differently with this one. I do really like it and I love her design, so I'm so disappointed it didn't turn out how I was imagining. But I do think it's cute, so I'd love to redesign her in the future and do her some justice. Prompt number 98 was red and gold. So for red and gold I went with a cute little elf character. This dress is kind of loosely inspired by a dress that I actually own, which isn't red and gold now that I think about it. It's just like a burgundy red with a little bit of pink, but that's where the inspiration for the colour schemes kind of came from. And I did kind of make this Christmassy by adding a little bit of green in there, the holly in the hair. I do really like this. I just wanted to draw something kind of like vintagey Christmas inspired with some darker reds rather than that bright red, because I think bright red is kind of what I first think of for Christmas, but I knew I wanted to save that for the actual Christmas prompt, which you'll see in a minute. So I went with more of a burgundy, darker red for this one, and I do think it turned out really cute, especially with the gold. I just wanted to try and draw a kind of ornate dress on this little character and do some cute decorations in the background, so there's kind of garlands in the background with baubles hanging off, and I knew I wanted to stick with kind of burgundy red. I did use a colour called antique pink as well for the stripes on her dress. It does look kind of reddish though, so it's kind of like a pale red without being too pink, which is exactly what I wanted to go for. And then in the end I added all those gold elements with a gold pen kind of on top, so you're not going to see a lot of gold until right at the end, but I think this one turned out really cute. It is kind of simple. I think I'd just attempted such complicated designs with the gingerbread and the candy cane characters. I wanted to do something a little bit more simple, a bit more cartoony, so she's not in a complicated pose or anything. The background's quite simple, but I really like it. I think it turned out really effective, and I do think it's really cute and really Christmassy. So yeah, I think this one turned out really sweet. Prompt number 99. We're almost there, guys. Prompt number 99 was Christmas. So as we're approaching Christmas, I wanted to do a lot of Christmas prompts, but this is like the ultimate Christmas prompt. It is Christmas. So I wanted to really go all out and just do a really Christmassy themed image, and I really think that this one turned out cute. I even decorated my background of the shot for this one. I've had kind of Christmassy themed paper as a kind of backdrop for all of these prompts, but then I went all out with this one and added loads of stuff. I had lights. It was actually kind of not very functional for me to actually draw, but hopefully it looks pretty. So for this one, I went with a character. She's got a little Santa hat on, some little reindeer ears. She's wearing a red dress with a fur line at the bottom. She's holding a present which has a huge bow on it. There's a Christmas tree in the background which is decorated with like baubles and candy canes. So yeah, just all out Christmas with this one. I went with red and green as the main colour scheme, of course, because it's Christmas. So I thought red and green were the most appropriate colours to use. I also went with a little bit of gold, a couple of different shades of red and green, and gave her blonde hair too, just because I wanted to keep the colour scheme fairly limited, so I kept it to red, green, and then yellowish tones for the gold and the blonde hair. After I'd coloured the tree, I went in with some pencils and with some fine liners to add that kind of tinsel around the tree. I've done this for years. There was a point when I was younger, I think I was decorating a Christmas card, and I decided to, instead of drawing the tinsel as one big lump like I had done previously, I went in and drew all the individual little lines and stuff. And I've loved drawing it that way ever since, so I decided to add that into this too. And I think it really comes to life at the end when I add some shading with coloured pencils and add the little tiny gold elements and the white highlights, and then colour that block in the background to kind of frame the character. I think it really all comes together and it looks super cute. I wanted to go with something cute and sweet and really Christmassy, so I think that this is perfect for that. I really like it. It could have been better, I'll be honest. I think that, you know, if I'd spent a lot longer thinking about the character, I could have come up with something more ornate or detailed or intricate, but I'm happy with this. I think it screams Christmas, so it fits the prompt perfectly, and I really like it. And finally, not just for this video, but for this entire challenge, prompt number 100. Prompt number 100 was congratulations. So this is the final prompt because it's supposed to be congratulating you finishing the challenge finally. I didn't make it to this prompt last year. I gave up at around 90, I think, or somewhere around there, and didn't end up completing all of them. But this year we actually made it to prompt 100. We made it. It's prompt number 100, finally. I'm so happy for this challenge to be over. I'll talk about that in a minute. So for prompt number 100, I decided to kind of do a callback to the very first prompt in episode 1 for the opening prompt. I believe it was a new challenge awaits. And I drew my original character, who I love very much. He still doesn't have a name, but I love drawing him, and I think he's a super fun original character to draw. So I wanted to kind of tie it together with the very first prompt, and just draw him kind of celebrating and having a good time, because we're finally at prompt number 100. It's over. This challenge has been an absolute roller coaster. It's been really tough. It's been a lot more difficult than I expected it would be. Somehow I thought it would be easy to just draw one thing each day, but it drains you really quickly. It drains your creativity, and that's why it's been so difficult. But I'm so glad that I actually made it through all 100 prompts. Feels crazy to say that because last year I just didn't manage it. I'd love to make a full video explaining why this challenge was so difficult and what was good about it and what was bad about it, and taking a kind of deeper look into whether my artwork has actually improved as I thought it would, and whether this challenge has achieved what I expected it to, because it was a lot different than I expected, and weirdly it was a different experience than last year too. So I'd love to make a full video talking about that and really taking a deeper look into kind of the psychology of what drawing every day actually does to you as an artist, or at least to me. But But that's not for right now, that's for a separate video, because my voice is a little bit worn out, I don't know whether you can tell. And I'm tired and I'm ready for Christmas now. So, I want to take a little bit of a break from constantly drawing all the time. You know, the funniest thing about this challenge is every time I would feel really burnt out from drawing too much, I would draw as a way to relax. It's such a different experience sitting and just drawing for fun rather than having to film it, and the pressure of what you draw has to be good because it's being filmed and you have to post it. And beforehand I was really scared of posting anything that I wasn't proud of, and now I've kind of had to. It's interesting. It's an interesting experience. But like I said, I should really talk about that in a separate video where I can order my thoughts in a better way rather than it being, what's the word? What's the word for that? My brain's completely turned to mush. What's the word for that? There's a word for that. Oh, goodness gracious. I'm so tired. Oh my goodness. When it's not scripted, they improvise. Okay. Wow. Oh man. Well, I can't even remember what I was saying now. I'd like to make a separate video where I talk about all of my thoughts about this challenge. When it doesn't have to be improvised, I can actually spend some time scripting it and actually containing my thoughts and making them more concise, and more precise as well, and more exact to what I think. Because right now I'm not sure that what's going through my mind and what's coming out of my mouth is synonymous in any kind of way. I'm tired. This was fun. I had a lot of fun. I hope that you enjoyed this challenge as much as I did. And I'd love to make a video talking about what I've learned from this experience. So stay tuned for that. Thank you so very much if you watched this video all the way through and heard me rambling on about artwork. And thank you so much if you watched the other parts of this challenge. There are now 14 parts in total. And see you in 2020 when hopefully I'll make some better content, because this challenge absolutely drained me. I needed a little bit of a rest, and then I'm excited to make more stuff. I'm just excited to make stuff that's different from this, that just different content, stuff that isn't this. Not a 100-day drawing challenge, not again. Thank you so much if you watched this whole video, and goodbye.